Hi, welcome to If You Don't Have Time to Learn Statistics, Learn These 3 Things. Probability and statistics can be a daunting subject, with lots of methods to learn for different situations. This is a quick video to point out 3 topics that, in Think Like a Physicist's humble opinion, are especially important to learn. And perhaps not surprisingly, they are 3 topics that are particularly emphasized on this channel. So, why these 3 topics? First, we should note that if you want to do something technical or detailed, these 3 topics are probably not going to be enough. So, for serious applications, you'll need to know more. But these 3 topics actually come up quite often in everyday life if you know how to recognize them when you see them. So, having a good grasp of these 3 topics can help you better understand the world around you. They can help you judge the probabilities of certain events happening in the future, or determine if events which have already occurred are compatible with some hypothesis you're interested in. We'll note that this list assumes that you already know a little bit of basic probability. So if you haven't had any exposure to probability, you might want to take a look at some introductory concepts before looking at these topics. But in the videos on this channel, we've tried to introduce these topics starting with simple ideas, so you also might be okay just jumping right in. Okay, let's get to the list. The first topic that we'd strongly recommend learning about is the Poisson distribution. The Poisson distribution is relevant for situations in which events of some kind occur independently and with a constant probability per unit time. For example, suppose a furniture store sells a certain model of sofa, on average, 3.2 times per week. The Poisson distribution would give the probability of the store selling 0, 1, 2, etc. of these sofas in some time period. Or let's say you work at a store selling some product. On average, 2.3 customers per week return their purchase because it is defective. This week, 7 customers returned defective products. How likely is this to happen if the product is up to its usual quality standards? Should you consider the possibility that something has recently gone wrong with the product manufacturing? The Poisson distribution is useful for questions like this. You can learn about the Poisson distribution in the Poisson Statistics playlist. Also, some real-life examples involving a lottery and 100-year floods are given in the playlist entitled Poisson Statistics Examples. Okay, so the second topic we'd recommend learning about is the Gaussian distribution, also called the normal distribution. The Gaussian distribution pops up in a lot of contexts. As an example, the Poisson distribution is approximated by a Gaussian distribution in the case where the average expected number of events is large. So, in the case of the furniture store above, if you wanted to figure out the probability of selling 4 of those sofas in 1 week, you'd use the Poisson distribution. But to get the probability of selling at least 180 this year, you might choose to use the Gaussian distribution instead. The Gaussian distribution also arises in situations not directly related to the Poisson distribution. To learn more about the Gaussian distribution, you can check out the Gaussian Statistics playlist. We should note that in learning about the Poisson and Gaussian distributions, you'll probably also run across something called the binomial distribution. You can learn more about this in the videos in the binomial statistics playlist. Okay, so the third item we'd suggest you learn about is Bayes' theorem. Bayes' theorem is important for computing the probability that a certain hypothesis is true given that some event occurs. For example, in the video Bayesian Logic at the Vet, a Brainteaser, we use Bayes' theorem in a hypothetical scenario involving a dog at a visit to the veterinarian. In that video, we evaluate, for an imaginary set of circumstances, the probability, given that a dog tests positive for a hypothetical disease, that the dog actually has that disease. You can find that video, along with other examples and discussions of Bayes' theorem, in the Bayesian playlist. Okay, so to summarize, we'd recommend that you learn about the Poisson distribution, the Gaussian distribution, and Bayes' theorem. These are all tools that can be of use in ordinary life. Feel free to leave questions or suggestions in the comments below, and if you'd like to know when new videos on this channel are released, please hit the subscribe button.